Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. So last week we looked at ECW's One Night Stand 2005, and pretty much like an ECW reunion show. Bringing back some of the people that really helped define ECW, and having the ECW vibe and feeling everything. But then W decided to produce another ECW One Night Stand event, although this one's a bit different. Some for good, some for not as good. But pretty much, this year's vibe compared to last year. Last year was more the reunion. This year was more of the declaration as this is how WWE is going to hold ECW, because as although it had the ECW name, this really did feel more like a WWE event, honestly. This was pretty much the sign of this is how WWE is going to be riding the ship. Now, as always, I'm not professional. Wrestling reviewer, analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I still had a good time with this. It's just this definitely felt more in the vein of a WWE event, and definitely not really an ECW event, but more a WWE event, and with the ECW name attached, which definitely would be a sign of things to come. So, a little bit of background about this. This is after ECW was announced to be as part of a third brand. So this is after the official revival of ECW. In fact, ECW was going to air the new ECW show, like their new weekly show, literally 2 days after this on June 13th. This actually took place on June 11th. And this event, but the show would air on June 13th, so ECW was officially revived and everything. And so, that might explain why this really felt like an WWE event, just with the ECW like tag with it. But yeah, so because of that, they did some promotion up to this point with ECW guys and WWE guys kind of going to war, or they had like a head-to-head at events, like a special head-to-head event, also I think that ECW guys were also appearing on Raw and SmackDown as well, sometime up to this point. So this really did feel like the revival. Also, it definitely had that energy. But also, according to the wiki here, which I'm mainly using for reference, just in case there's some stuff I forget to mention. It's mentioned in the wiki here as well. Kevin Owens apparently was in attendance, although he was known as Kevin Steen at the time and was part of PWG. I didn't even notice. I don't even think I noticed him when I watched the event. And let me know in the comments where he was. Like, I did not see him, unless either he was kind of a bit high up, a bit far up, or I straight up just didn't notice. But nevertheless, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, for those of you who've seen these reviews from me before, you kind of already know how this works. For those who haven't, I'm going to be talking about each match and talking about kind of what I liked and disliked about each match. Starting with, and I'm going to talk about like the event and some of the other preliminary stuff when it comes to the event, and as I usually do. But starting with the opening match, as Taz battled Jerry Lawler, or kinda. This essentially was a squash match, about 35 seconds, at least according to the wiki here. But Taz essentially, so first of all, Jerry Lawler came out, and the crowd, which we're here in Manhattan this time around, still in like the New York area, still in the Hammerstein Ballroom, but Manhattan crowd here are pretty much the same as last year, or in terms of the stuff that is ECW, who obviously gets cheered and everything, and the stuff that isn't ECW gets booed, which we will definitely see. We'll definitely see both. Jerry Lawler coming out. Jerry Lawler, at least in kayfabe, I don't know if this how he actually felt on the stuff, but Jerry Lawler very much anti ECW, calling it extremely crappy wrestling, and so Jerry Lawler comes out. This is after Taz made his way to the ring, which they definitely dubbed over Taz's music, and it really sounds kind of weird. But Jerry Lawler making his way to the ring actually slaps Joey Styles, who Joey Styles is solo on commentary, at least for the time being. But Jerry Lawler slaps him, and then immediately gets his comeuppance, because after the bell rings, Joey Styles gets on top of him and kind of does the sleeper hold thing, and then Taz locks in the Taz mission, and Jerry Lawler is essentially out. So Taz with the quick victory. He essentially, just so Jerry Lawler could get his comeuppance, and pretty much to wake the crowd up, having Taz choke out Jerry Lawler. And then Taz comes over and joins Joey Styles on commentary for the rest of the event. And next up, we have Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton. So Kurt Angle is now part of the ECW brand, coming out with that really cool whole alternate version of his theme song. On which I actually, a lot of people kind of feel mixed about it, but me, I actually really like that version. Do I like it as much as the original? Not really, but it is still pretty cool. Well, and Randy Orton, and for starters, it is his it was awkward last year. Kurt Angle showing up on the ECW event, the One Night Stand event. If you haven't already, go check out my review of One Night Stand 2005. But it was awkward already. Kurt Angle being on the event at all, even if it was to insult ECW and everything, considering what happened and how it kind of was ECW that almost caused him to not be a part of the pro wrestling business. And now, take your awkward trouble and make it double, because now Kurt Angle's part of the ECW brand, and this is when he became the wrestling machine and everything, where he had the mouthpiece and stuff of as part of the ECW brand. And would be there for a while up until he left WWE, went to TNA, and begat Perk Angle. But nevertheless, Kurt Angle battling Randy Orton here, and Randy Orton definitely hated by the ECW crowd. Kurt Angle surprisingly gets cheered, so I guess once you become part of ECW, then all the rest kind of is just forgiven. Kurt Angle and his comments from the year previous. Kind of get forgiven and everything, which also before I forget, Paul Heyman does kind of open up the show, talking about the ECW resurrection and stuff of thanking the crowd and everything. I did forget to mention that, but here Kurt Angle battling Randy Orton, still really weird, really awkward, and Randy Orton because he's anti-ECW, he gets some interesting comments and chants by the fans. Not ones I'm not necessarily going to repeat here, but yeah. But not a bad match between the two. It definitely kind of did feel like a WWE match. That did this one, but otherwise it still felt okay. It still was pretty decent for the most part. But both men really getting a lot of their stuff in. Kurt Angle even straight up slapping Randy Orton around a little bit, and yes, the crowd definitely popped for. But ultimately Kurt Angle hits the ankle lock, and then even locks it in the grapevine, where he sits down with it in order for Randy Orton to tap. And of course the fans afterward chanting, "You tapped out" at Randy Orton, and as he's helped to the back. Yeah, pretty decent match. The chants also very interesting, but yeah, so there's that. But then next up, the FBI, which consists of Little Guido and Tony Mamaluke, who are accompanied by Big Guido. They battle Super Crazy and Tajiri. So it's funny that these three guys, Little Guido, aka Nunzio, Super Crazy and Tajiri battled last year in the three-way dance, and now Super Crazy and Tajiri are teaming up, and now Tony Mamaluke has joined the fray, but this in tag team action, and same with the other ones, and honestly throughout the entire night, which is why I brought it up, even though involving ECW guys, definitely did feel like a WWE match. The fact that they're teaming up and stuff. But but I get it. You didn't necessarily want to do the three-way dance again, or even like a four-way dance, and it's because obviously you don't want tensions or anything like that between Little Guido and Tony Mamaluke. But yeah, so pretty decent match, including some stuff done in stereo by Super Crazy and Tajiri, including the double drop kicks and the double drop kicks and the double tarantulas in the ropes, which I thought were pretty cool. But ultimately, Guido and Mamaluke get the win, and then Big Show comes in the ring and pretty much beats up everybody. Big Show, who turned his back on Raw and SmackDown by joining up with ECW, or more so just Raw, and joining up with ECW. Big Show in turn goes together like peanut butter and jelly, I guess. But Big Show, now part of the ECW brand, pretty much takes out everybody in the ring and stands tall at the end there. And then JBL comes out cutting almost pretty much like the exact same promo he cut last year, except this time bringing up what he did to Blue Meanie. He by busting him open, but then announces that because Taz left SmackDown for ECW, JBL would be replacing him, and so that began the commentary duo. Somewhat of a kind of underrated commentary duo, at least to some people, Michael Cole and JBL. But yeah, so there is that. But then next up, Rey Mysterio battling Sabu for the World Heavyweight Championship. If you thought Rey was getting booed the year before, he's definitely getting booed again here now. Not just because he's still not fully ECW Rey, not even introduced as Rey Mysterio Jr. this time, but this is when he was World Heavyweight Champion, in which his time as World Heavyweight Champion and definitely did catch some scrutiny. He with WWE kind of profiting off the death of Eddie Guerrero. And he's going against Sabu, who you hate to see Rey get booed, but they kind of set him up for that one. But otherwise, still a pretty solid match between the two. Who some pretty cool spots. The guy's known for flying around the ring. And so all this hype, all this momentum, all this good stuff between the two, including some table spots and some chair spots with Sabu. First of all, they started off holding chairs. The referee made them put it down. I don't know why, because it was an Extreme Rules match. But Sabu then and doing stuff with the chair and table. Nothing really botched, at least as far as I can tell. And not one, but two chair throws right into Rey Mysterio's face. The first one, Rey blocked with his hands. The second one, Rey did not. So it definitely, had an ugly, snap sound, as the chair went into Rey Mysterio's face. Not the last time something like that would happen on this night, but then it all had to come crashing down at the end, and a Sabu who nailed the DDT on Rey through the table. And it was so cool that they decided to stop the match after that. The doctors trainers came out and they called the match off. So the match ended in no contest on an ECW show. Great. On one hand, and I get it, you didn't necessarily want to have Rey Mysterio lose the World Heavyweight Championship just yet. He would actually lose it later on at Great American Bash 06. On one hand, you probably didn't want him to necessarily lose the World Heavyweight Championship, but on the other hand, you didn't necessarily want Sabu to take the loss. But I think this was a really kind of crabby way to get around it. Honestly, I probably just would have had Sabu lose the match. Yeah, the fans would have been upset, but everything else was solid up until this point. To the point where I'd argue the fans probably, it definitely would have soured some of the fans and stuff. I don't think they would have been too mad at it, because as the match was still solid up to that point. It's the third shortest match of the night at only 9 minutes 10 seconds, but it still was a solid match between the two. So I don't think the fans would have been as mad if the match had ended with Sabu taking the loss. But unfortunately ended in the no contest, which Yikes! But and this is Sabu for goodness sake. This is Sabu, who man known for taking bumps, and this wasn't even that like big of like a major like this was a major. Oh my god, we gotta stop the match like bump. Even in like in terms of kayfabe, because this is something they had done in this match, like going through the table, like, and now this one they decide, oh, they can't continue, like that's ridiculous. But nevertheless, yeah, it ended in the no contest. It's a really solid match with a really disappointing ending. But then next up is the hardcore match as Edge, Mick Foley, and Lita battled and ultimately defeated Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer, and Beulah McGillicuddy. You heard me right. Edge and Mick Foley teaming up. How did we come about this? So, after their match at WrestleMania 22, if you haven't already, go check out that review, where I reviewed Edge versus Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22. After that match, Mick Foley turns heel and aligns himself with Edge and Lita, and essentially he sells out and everything, putting down like ECW and stuff, and then him and Edge going to try to bring back the Hardcore Championship, but Paul Heyman having none of that, so Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer are taking on Edge and Mick Foley. Now it was supposed to be Edge and Mick Foley versus Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer, and of course Lita accompanying Edge and Mick Foley, but Beulah McGillicuddy gets in saying she wants a piece of the action. She makes a comment towards Lita that I'm also not going to repeat here, and there's some chants here that I can't necessarily repeat. Like I try not to go too dirty. That is, but but nevertheless, so it's made into a hardcore mixed tag in a way. At first they do like traditional tag stuff, and then it just breaks down with a lot of brawling between Edge, Foley, and Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer. The barbed wire is out. They even have like a barbed wire board, which they use in some spots. And then they also have the barbed wire 2x4 barbed wire baseball bat hat. So, barbed wire, get your barbed wire here. And even Terry Funk, who is busted open with the barbed wire, even leaves for a bit before coming back out all bandaged up and stuff. But from there, Terry Funk takes the spill through the barbed wire board. Or actually, first it was Mick Foley who went through the barbed wire board in there, and Terry Funk dumped out after him, and Tommy Dreamer taken out, and then to end off the match, Edge spears Beulah McGillicuddy and then puts her in a very interesting pin. Oh man. And Edge, very interesting pin, and insinuating insinuating a certain position, and but it's ECW. What can you do? As my lights will not stop flickering. Hang on, I might have to get a new light, honestly. But so a very insinuative pin from Edge to Beulah McGillicuddy. Yeah, but the fact that Beulah got speared at all, and then the pin, the 1-2 punch, really solid match between the two. Definitely some hardcore stuff. This felt honestly, this really felt like a marriage of the two. It felt like a WWE match, but it also felt like an ECW match. We even had a cat fight for a little bit between Beulah and Lita. Like Edge, Mick Foley, Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer did a lot of the legwork, and Lita and Beulah didn't really do as much, aside from the cat fight and some stuff and the finish, obviously. But otherwise, yeah, a really solid match. Then next up, it's kind of like a palate cleanser, or in a way. As Balls Money battled Masato Tanaka for a little bit. It pretty like a short standard match. It's pretty much, like I said, like a palate cleanser coming up for the main event, and Balls Mahoney battling Tanaka, which they bring up, which I think they do it almost all the time. Balls Mahoney, they bring up his amateur wrestling background, how he got banned for taking out a referee. Whether there's some truth to that or not, I actually don't know. I imagine probably But battling Tanaka here, Tanaka takes a wicked chair shot right to the dome. Tanaka, first 2005 against Mike Awesome, and now here, what is with these nasty chair shots to the head? And you heard the chair shot too, like just the clank of it. It's just a really hard one, and I'm surprised Tanaka didn't get busted open after that. But he even like dented the chair and everything, and then Balls Pony picked up the win from there. Pretty short match, second shortest match of the night, only 5 minutes 3 seconds, but just like a little short match. And then right before the main event, which they even show like the build up to it, John Cena and RVD kind of getting prepared for the match. Right before that, had Eugene comes out, reads a little poem, does his shtick with the ECW crowd, then gets beaten up by the Sandman and hit with Singapore Cane and stuff. Sandman chase after him, the beer and everything, and then we get to the main event as John Cena defends the WWE Championship against Rob Van Dam. Heel Dominic Mysterio, MJF, take note. This is what you call heat. John Cena coming out like coming out and just hated by the crowd. And they chant at him throughout the entire night. Like they boo the crap out of him when he comes out. Then when he throws his shirt and hat into the crowd like he always does, it's thrown back. They do that for a little bit, and then they get into the match proper. And pretty evenly matched. Like Cena gets some stuff in, RVD gets some stuff in. Cena even goes to the crowd after pushing RVD off the barricade into the crowd. Cena goes into the crowd, which is brave on his part, but thankfully the security preventing the fans from getting at Cena. But so Cena gets a lot of hateful chants thrown at him, and Cena he took it. Props to Cena. I don't know if I wouldn't have been able to. Another reason why I don't think I'll ever become a wrestler, or like if a crowd hated me as much as Cena was hated here, or I don't know if I'd be able to do it. But Cena, he took it like a champ. He still did what he had to do, kind of playing the heel in a lot of ways. And Cena definitely did lean into it and everything. Even when the referee broke up the STFU, who it was still called the STFU at this point, RVD broke it on the ropes, which he really shouldn't have because it's no disqualification, but the referee pulled him off. Then Cena clotheslined the referee. Cena taking RVD out of the ring. And so Cena kind of leaning heel into that. But then Edge showed up, motorcycle helmet and jacket. At first you can't see what it is, spearing Cena through the table that was set up. And Edge revealing himself, pretty much pulling the face turn of the night. At least in terms of with the ECW crowd. The crowd even chanted, "Thank you, Edge." And so Edge redeemed himself after beating up both Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk and Beulah McGillicuddy. But after that, Edge delivered the 5-star. The referee's still down. The original referee was down, and then SmackDown referee Nick Patrick was also down. He was also taken out. And then Paul Heyman coming in and counting 3. He didn't know Heyman had the authority to do so, but he did, and RVD becomes a new WWE champion, although they declare him the ECW champion, and the locker room comes out to celebrate, and RVD celebrates to end off the show, and I think that was the right call. Like they mentioned on commentary, and I think it definitely was the case. If Cena had won here, there probably would have been like an actual riot, but thankfully RVD picked up the win here and became WWE champion and would end up holding both the WWE and the ECW championships for a time until he got pulled over with Sabu, and they searched his car and they found weed, and this was before weed became legal. Also, RVD got in trouble for it, lost both of his championships. I think he lost the WWE championship back to Cena, if I'm not mistaken, and he lost the championship back to Cena, and then he lost the ECW championship to the Big Show, so yay. This is after Paul Heyman turned on RVD and helped Big Show win the championship here, or the ECW championship, but that would be later on. But yeah, so that is the event ends. ECW One Night Stand 2006, although it's really more like WWE One Night Stand 2006, just with the ECW name. Like I said, definitely felt more like a WWE show, and this was pretty much the sign of WWE running ECW. And sadly, we now know, with the power of hindsight, how that turned out, and that it didn't turn out all that great, unfortunately, for ECW with WWE at the helm. And honestly, if I can like make a comparison, One Night Stand 2005 was like the revival. Well, it was pretty much like a celebration of ECW, who in a lot of ways, and that's where the flight began. Pretty much for ECW to be brought back as a third brand in WWE. And then, and One Night Stand 2006 was when they were flying upwards towards the sun. I think you can kind of see where I'm going, kind of making the Icarus reference, where WE slash ECW kind of flying a bit closer to the sun, wanting the warmth. I'm still not totally bastardized by WE was ECW yet, but kind of getting there. And then as the show progressed, it's including a freaking zombie, which I think was on the debut episode to kind of make fun of the fact that ECW was on Sci-Fi. I mean, when I think of science fiction, I more so think of aliens and or stuff like that. But sure, I guess zombie works too. But then this was as them flying and closer to the sun, to where people were like, maybe you shouldn't be flying that close to the sun. And then December to December 2006, which I reviewed for the channel. If you haven't already, go check out that review. That's when they flew too close to the sun. And then everything that happened afterwards with ECW, with the logo change, with the ECW title change, and then with people like Bobby Lashley and Ezekiel Jackson holding the ECW championship, aka people who weren't really ECW, who never really were ECW, and ECW kind of like flopping as like a third brand. And that was the fall after flying too close to the sun. But the tragic tale of ECW and WWE, whose treatment was worse, WCW or ECW? It's kind of hard to say. At least WWE knew when to back up off of WCW, except when they didn't, when they tried to do the whole WWE versus WCW thing when Sting came in. But otherwise, they didn't try to do with, well, actually, they kind of did. They had the one episode with the one match between Booker T and Buff Bagwell, which didn't turn out well. Oh, but then, unfortunately, they did, that was kind of the end of WCW in WWE. But then ECW, they tried for years to do ECW with it being very much watered down. And then ECW, they finally killed it, gave it its merciful death, and we were given NXT because of that. Now, early NXT, the game show era, not as good, and then we got to the third brand of NXT, so I guess it worked out. But but otherwise, that was One Night Stand 2006. If I had to pick the strongest and weakest match of the night, for the strongest, I probably would have to go with the World Heavyweight Championship match, except for the ending. The hardcore match between Edge, Mick Foley, and Lita against Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer, Beulah McGillicuddy, or even the WWE Championship match. That's because both men got their stuff in, and the right man won, in my opinion, and the fans went home happy. He and Kurt Angle and Randy Orton were pretty good as well. If I had to pick the weakest, it'd probably be the opening match, just because it was kind of a squash. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this event. Now, which one did I like more, One Night Stand 05 or 06? I would say, I guess it depends on what you're necessarily looking for. Like, One Night Stand 06 still had some gems on there, but definitely felt more like in the vein of WWE, versus One Night Stand 05 felt more in the vein of ECW. So in terms of like which one, in terms of like that argument as to who, and if the question is which one felt more like ECW, I'd definitely give it to One Night Stand 05. So I guess if that's your basis on which one is better, then I would go with One Night Stand 05. But I guess it's more or what you necessarily came to see, if that makes any sense. Like if you enjoyed ECW, whereas more in like the vein of actual ECW, which obviously makes sense, it's supposed to be like an ECW event, then you'd probably give the nod more to 05. But if you prefer, or I'm not sure why you necessarily would, but to each his own. If you prefer WWE's take on it, you might lean a bit more towards One Night Stand 2006. But at least both of them were better than December to Dismember 2006. On that, we can agree. But yeah, I would say it's more about what you're necessarily looking for in terms of your ECW consumption, I guess. Like, hey, if you, like I said, if you, what's the way to put it? If you were a fan of like ECW, and like the original ECW, then 05 would definitely be the way to go. And I think that really encapsulates it. It honestly, like, thing is, One Night Stand 05, being more in the vein of ECW, being like the reunion, like the celebration of ECW and everything. And I think that's really what people came to see. And then 06, more in the vein of WWE, this is how WWE is going to run it, I think really rubbed people the wrong way in some regard. Or it's not necessarily for the event itself. Like I said, 06, One Night Stand 06 was solid for the most part. But then everything that happened afterwards, and I think with the power of hindsight, that puts a bit more of like a negative light on 06's One Night Stand, because this was a sign of things to come with WWE running the helm when it comes to ECW. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the event and my review of the event. Did you dislike the event? Did you dislike my review of the event? And you know what? I think I've been kind of debating, and I think I might. So later on this week, why not? Let's check out the inaugural episode of WWE CW. This was. Oh, the inaugural episode was 2 days after this event, so why not? We'll look at the inaugural show later on this weekend. We'll talk about it. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.